Hello, and welcome back to the Dan Cave, and welcome to another bench update, bench review on the desk, in the box, out of the box, some kind of update that I do on a close to monthly frequency. So it's 13th of June, I think, today. So once again, I'm late with my review. I do aim to get these done at the start of the month, and invariably this year that hasn't happened. But this is the June review, and the purpose of the June review is to look back at the previous month mainly. Look at what's been done, what's been bought, what's in progress, what's possibly going to happen in the future. Yeah, so that's generally the theme of things in these bench reviews. So if you've been here before, you know that. If you've not been here before, please subscribe. Please drop a like if you can. Obviously, if you have been here before, please drop a like as well. Feel free to leave a comment. So once again, the weeks roll on by, and another month has elapsed since the last review. So as has been kind of the tail of the tape for this year so far, very much events have kind of taken over. So there was basically almost a 2 week period where I was on holiday, and I've had a week away with work as well, traveling last week. So the start of this month has not been great. Most of last month was kind of occupied by kind of various other activities. So modelling time has been significantly reduced again, which was not unexpected. I knew I was going on holiday, so I knew that was a likely occurrence for last month. So and that's probably been reflected in progress at the moment. But I will say, around those times I've managed to make some good progress on some of the things that I said were in progress last month and have progressed significantly. And luckily enough, one of those has gone to completion. So we do have a completion for this month. So, which is always good. So, general stuff. Well, not much general stuff going on. Not in the modelling world for me. Just trying to plug away on the topics I'm working on. Kind of actually enjoying the builds that I'm doing at the moment. So they're non-video builds. I think that's been probably a nice change from the first few months of this year, where I was trying to do a couple of different video builds. So there was the Celica earlier in the year, the Phantom. If you're a subscriber, as you would have seen earlier today, although by the time this video comes out, it's probably yesterday, first part of the Suzuki GSX-RR is out, and the F15 build is complete, and that of course is the completion. No secret, if you follow the channel, you will have seen the video build for that is out. So it's been nice to do a couple of builds that are not video builds. I think with the kind of not completely limited time, or at least an element of restriction on my time, and you try and do the video builds, try and do them and keep them in order and keep them organized, and try and get the videos edited as I'm progressing along. So if I'm not getting that done, it's mainly because I want to get some modeling done, and that's what I've kind of been doing with a couple of the kits. Hence, that's probably delayed the Suzuki build, the GSX-RR part 1 coming out. Part 2 will hopefully follow very quickly because all the footage is done, and that will kind of free me up to kind of get back working on it, which I'm kind of feeling a little bit more enthusiastic towards maybe than I was last month, because some other things were keeping me busy on the desk. So that's my first little ramble. Probably have another one a little bit later on. However, to stop me doing that, I'm going to say let's head on over to the bench, which is behind the camera, and let's have a look at what's been done, what's in progress, what's been bought, and what's coming up in possibly not that order, but something similar. So yeah, stop talking and let's get over there. So I'll come back at the end for some more ramblings. See you in a few minutes. Over there. So first up is the what's been built. So anyone who follows the channel will know that what's been built recently is the F-15. So that was for the Gary Pashley Memorial build. That's the Great Wall Hobbies F-15E. So as you can see, as I think I mentioned previously, the nose cone actually has fallen off. So I might actually get on and repair that while we're sat here. So, but as you can see, there is a video built. It's in 2 parts, which covers this. So overall, I have to say I was pretty impressed with the kit, pretty pleased with how well it went together. I know a few people have had issues with some of the fit, etc., but for me, I was quite happy with generally how it went together. So as is covered in the video build, there's not a huge amount to say about this, so we will do some live modelling and talking while I'm fixing the nose cone. So I have just a little glass disc which I use for CA glue. A little bit of a blob on it, so I've been using this, which is Mitre Fast, which is actually mainly for the building industry. But you get that, and that comes with this, which is a spray can accelerator, which is always quite useful to have for CA glue, and it's quite a bargain price off Amazon, I think is where I got it from. So let's see if we can get this nose back on. So let's just put a couple of dots of CA glue in there. Now I will say the grab on this is not instant, but it does grab very well. So I'll just hold it in place. Just bear with me. And voila, it's fixed. I have no doubt I will probably knock it off again at some point. Excuse me, bit of a frog in my throat this evening. But yeah, the big letdown on this kit was the decals. They were very disappointing. I should have gone with the aftermarket ones that I was offered. I didn't. I kind of wanted to do the shark mouth scheme. But hey ho, you live and you learn. So yeah, it's painted in various shades of grey as you've seen in the video, weathering, etc. Yeah, if you want to find out more, go watch the video build series. But you know, I am actually really pleased with it. I think it's a very good kit. The decals let it down though. Would I build another one? Yeah, probably would. I think some of the other variants they have look quite interesting. I think maybe the Israeli version, quite a different scheme, or the Japanese Air Force version. But yeah, very nice kit, very enjoyable. Just a shame about the decals. As you can see on this one, I've gone with an asymmetric load, which again I discuss in the video as well. So all in all, very pleased. So that's it. That's the inbuilt. That's the what's been built bit. So let's put that kit away and let's move on to what's been bought. And yay, I didn't knock the nose off, put it back on the shelf. So let's put that CA glue to one side so I don't stick myself to anything. So what's been bought? So there was a whole bunch of kits last month. I think since then I've only picked up one kit. So the one kit that I picked up was this. So this is the Revell 25th scale Corvette C5R, which I do have another one, the Revell Europe Boxing. This is the Revell USA Boxing. So yeah, so this was picked up in a local hobby shop, not too far from me. When I was away on holiday, we had a day out, spotted the model shop, and obviously had to pay a visit, and obviously had to buy something. So, so I've not even opened this yet. So we might as well give it an open and just check that everything looks okay in there. So yeah, so essentially I've got, excuse the rustling, two of these C5Rs. Both in this CompuWear scheme actually, so I do need to find another decal set for it. I know there is a yellow scheme out there which is available, so I'll probably pick that up and add it to the decals collection. So there we go, big bunch of plastic. Yeah, lots of parts. Some tyres that are loose in the box. Clear parts sadly buried at the bottom of the box, which is not ideal. And there's the instructions. Let's have a look, see what that decal sheet looks like. So that actually looks like it's in reasonably good condition. So that's good. The box was all sealed, so I would have expected it to be so. So it is the slightly older style Revell instructions, which I find very, very hard on the eyes. Oh, and looks like there's two sets of wheels as well. Nice. So yeah, so it's all in white plastic. White plastic I actually find very hard on the eyes as well. Sometimes not the most inspiring to look at, but yeah. Try and find a way to package these clear parts a little bit better. And get the instructions in. So that's all that's been bought, which is considerably less than I probably normally buy. I'm sure my bank manager is very appreciative of that. Yeah, so that's securely back on a shelf. So next up is in progress. So what have we got in progress? What should we start with? Right, since I have it to hand, for the ISM bike group build, I have been working on the Tamiya RG250. So that is this kit. So what have we got in front of us? So this is what I was working on yesterday, I think. So basically the engine and frame, rear wheel is now in there, kind of chain, brake and stuff all been painted up. So yeah, still a little bit of a wash needed on some of those parts just to give them a little bit of depth and character, and some of the other bits are ready and painted and well ready to go. So that's the rear fender, which has been painted in X18 semi-gloss black. The exhausts, which I think were painted in super stainless, I think. Super stainless? Or super chrome? Super chrome silver, actually, is what they've been painted in. And actually I have to say that finish is very, very nice on those. So let me just grab the bodywork. So over the weekend I managed to find enough time to finally get round to 2K body parts. So they were So they were base coats. So they were primed in UMP white, base coat of 0, and then the dark blue is a mix of Tamiya XF. I need to check the instructions. Tamiya X3 and X1. So slightly darker shade of blue. And then they were 2K'd a couple of days ago in Pro Range 2K. So yeah, so that's all the body parts. So they'll be nearly cured. I mean, that's 2 days. Not to the point where they can be flattened back, but getting very close to it. So probably the earliest will be tomorrow, but I think I'll leave another day or two just to harden off properly. So overall, yeah, pretty happy with the level of shine on those parts. I think it will. I think this is going to look like quite a nice road bike build and quite a classic kind of aging Suzuki build. But yeah, so quite impressed with what's been done on that so far. So that's the body work and the 2K done on that. So let me just make some space. So the other kit in progress at the moment, which is the same kit that was in progress last month, but has progressed, luckily enough. So we'll start off with this part of it. So this is the Tamiya 120th Williams FW13B. So this is the main chassis of that kit. Just pop that box out of the way. So it's the main chassis and engine complete. So chassis itself was, I think it's just primed in UMP black and left like that. Engine has been done in a variety of Tamiya acrylics, some Revell acrylics. The surround for the intake trumpets, that's all been done with some Tamiya carbon fibre decal as well. The exhausts, which, let's see if we can get a close up of the exhausts, which I quite like the look of. See if we can get it to focus. So yeah, so they were given a base coat of, I think it was gloss aluminium, and then use some various alclad hot metals on top just to give that that kind of burnt heat staining effect on it. So a little bit of bare metal foil just for the engine heat shield, and just some Revell sand to give that kind of Kevlar colour, because the pictures don't look like a proper Kevlar weave. It's more like a kind of fiberglass Kevlar type cover. And yeah, so that's the main chassis part. The seat has been done. Little cockpit steering wheel. It's again some Tamiya carbon fibre was used for the interior. The seat itself is just left in semi-gloss black. I think it's actually UMP primer black. And the seatbelt set has come from a Tamiya seatbelt set, which I used the vinyl straps in it. Yeah, I'm not entirely pleased with it. I think I'll go back to using kind of ribbon in the future. So I've tried a couple of different seatbelt materials recently. I think my favourite is probably just a plain up ribbon. I think it looks the best, but they look okay. The photo etch parts obviously make the big difference on them, certainly better than the moulded in details that were on the seat. So that's pretty much it for that. I think that will need a little bit of a wash as well over the radiators, just to pick out some of the details. Some of the engine has had a bit of a wash on it already, but I might add a little bit more. So that is the interior part of the God. That's it, drop it. Yeah, I did drop it, in case you're wondering. So what's come loose? So the seat back has come loose. So let's grab a little bit of that CA glue we had earlier. Put that on the back of the seat. And that should hopefully go back in place. Yeah, that would be nicely secured. Top tip, try not to drop things. So along with 2K'ing the RG250, I also managed to 2K the bodywork for this kit. So this was primed in UMP white, base coat of Zero Paints Williams FW13B white set of paint, then a little bit of masking for the yellow, which came from this set, and then the rest of it was decals. Now the decals proved to be the biggest challenge with this kit. The kit decals were beyond salvage, basically. Very fragile, very old set of Tamiya's own decals anyway, which are never great, plus the aging, they were just incredibly brittle. So I went with a set from Indicals, which again I wasn't overly impressed with. Anywhere it went around the edges, basically the blue, because all the blue was all decals, the blue essentially broke up. The blue ink on it just broke up and left kind of white crack marks around any of the edges, so all that had to be touched up. So I had to mix up some blue paint, because the blue paint that comes in the paint set from Zero Paints is a completely different shade of blue to the decals, and it's also a different shade of blue to the Tamiya decals, so which is interesting in itself. But anyway, managed to touch up all that bit of paint work. Decals went down okay. One of them's a little bit crooked, which is not entirely pleasing, but then they were left to cure for a reasonable amount of time, and then Pro Range 2K was used to give it a clear coat. So again, that was done at the same time as the bike, so that's had 2 days. So that clear coat is nicely curing. Again, not at a stage where it can be flatted back, because it does need it, particularly over the decals. I don't know, as it self levels, I don't think it levels quite as well on the decals as, say, Gravity does. But yeah, so there's a little bit of work needed to correct that, but it's, you know, it's not bad. It's not bad. But I think that Pro Range that I've got now is at end of life and is due to go in the bin. So that is the in progress. So that's what's been done. That's what's in progress, what's been bought. So I guess the question is, what's next? So as I mentioned last month, and probably went through a little bit of detail, and yes, I'm just stalling time while I reach out and grab the box. Coming up next will be this Legacy with these aftermarket decals. So that's definitely on the next to-do list, and that is planned to be a video build as well. There is a random Italieri helicopter I wanted to build. However, what came in during the week, which probably wasn't originally planned, was this. So it's not been bought, this has been provided to me by Phoenix Scale Modelling. So there's going to be another build review for them for the magazine. So that kind of goes up the priority order a little bit. So that will be done at some point quite soon. So that kind of interrupts the flow of everything that's happening. So that's the kind of short term what's coming up next. So let's head back over to me for the usual final thoughts. There we go. That's so what's been built, the F-15, what's been bought, the Revell C5. There's that Camaro that came in as well, but that's going to be a magazine build. So that'll be coming up in a couple of months' time in Phoenix scale modelling. There are a couple of other kits which I got last week, but that's technically in June, so I really should cover them next month, so I haven't included them this month. The in progress, we looked at the RG250 and where that is, the Williams, where that is. Not covered the GSX-RR because that's not changed since last month. Obviously the videos are now coming out for that. Future builds, still plan on doing the Legacy and the Colin McRae scheme as mentioned. In last month's update, I still plan on doing possibly a helicopter that I looked at last month, I think. But obviously that Camaro's come in, so that kind of probably gets higher priority. And then obviously progress on the Suzuki as well. So they're the things that will mainly kind of get my focus over the coming weeks. Although there's not many weeks left in June. But hopefully, way things are looking, I think the RG will be finished, and I think that the Williams will be finished. So that's steps in the right direction. It was, I suppose, it was relatively interesting. Got an itchy shoulder. Someone's stabbing me in the back, probably. So it was interesting. I was looking back at progress from last year. I think at this stage of last year, I'd built 18 kits. This year, I've built 7. Now, numbers aren't really that important, but I was kind of trying to figure out why has it been different this year. So, looking at the things I built, of those 7 kits, 3 of them were video builds, which wasn't the case last year. That's a big difference. One of them was a magazine build, so obviously there was the effort to write that up as well. And then a couple of the other ones were relatively more complex kits. There was a MotoGP bike in there, the Desmo Sedici. So some, and probably a couple of, work trips as well, a couple of things going on, which has kind of taken away a little bit of the bench time. I did get a PlayStation a few months ago, and I think that's taken an amount of time away from my hobbies. And it kind of goes back to the point I made to someone recently about 3D printing. How you segue from PlayStation into 3D printing, I don't know. But we had a discussion a while back about, would I ever consider doing 3D printing? And while in theory I like the idea of it, the tech, very, very interesting, etc. I think the CAD side of it will be interesting to me as well. I think my general thoughts are if I ended up doing 3D printing, that would become another hobby, which would just take up the time that I end up spending on hobbies, and it would just take away from the modelling time. So I kind of thought probably not at the moment. Maybe in the future when, different gaps appear in your kind of lifestyle and calendar and stuff. But I think at the moment that's probably a kind of no-go. And I think that's why the PlayStation has kind of ended up, the hours I've spent on that have taken away the hours from modelling. So it's kind of simply worked out that I've built less because I've been doing something else. So, one of the other factors this year that's kind of maybe wasn't a factor the previous 2 years because of various lockdowns is the band I'm in. We've started rehearsing again this year, so that kind of takes up at least one evening a week. And then any kind of additional hours where I do, any kind of practice at home myself. So, the end of the day outside of work and time spent with my family, there's only a certain amount of time I can kind of sacrifice for hobbies. So that's why modelling has taken a little bit of a hit this year. But that's fair enough. You know, I think for me, I think if I build 10 kits, 15 kits, 20 kits, as long as I'm making the best use of my modelling time, I'm happy. So yeah, so that's a long-winded ramble to end this video. Maybe it's to fill the gap where I haven't built very much recently, so pants it out a little bit. So if you've sat through all that, if you're still here, if you're still awake even, thanks for watching, of course. If you like the video, please give a thumbs up. Feel free to leave a comment if you want. And of course, if you're not a subscriber, don't forget to give a subscribe. I really appreciate the growth in the subscriber count over the last year or so the channel's been here. Of course, really would kind of encourage people to give the video a like. If you like it, it does really help boost the channel, especially if we can get those likes up to 50, because that puts the video out to non-subscribers. It'll appear in their recommended list if it's, you know, similar type topics that they watch. So that would be a big help to the channel in keeping the growth. So yeah, without further ado, that's me done, and it's time for me to do some modelling in a couple of hours left of this evening that I've got. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all very soon for the next video. Bye bye.